Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Wheelock. I am with the Winnie Rick. Along with me is Melanie Kitchen. We have been working through our first ever TIF Summit and hopefully going to have this as an annual event, bringing together great conversations between ed tech savvy teachers from Canada and America. So today we have another panel of great presentations, and our first one is Erin, Quinn, and Tara Vandertoon, and they are 8th grade humanities teachers from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Go Flames! The breadbasket, right? And they have built a collaborative partnership where they constantly push each other towards a better practice, according to their bio. And if you want to connect with them, you can go to creativitycollective.ca. Or you can follow them on Twitter by going to Lucky by Design and at Best Circus. That's an interesting Twitter handle. Maybe we'll learn about that. But and you'll also find their session resources at our website, and that's bit.ly/TIF Summit. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Erin and Tara. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So hi, we've already been introduced, but we've got our emails and our Twitter handles up here for you to have a look at. I'm Tara.
And I'm Erin. We teach humanities, which for us is it's a kind of a blend of outcomes from language arts and from social studies. So we teach both those subjects, and sometimes we integrate them together, and sometimes we teach them separately. And today, go ahead, Tara.
We're going to talk today about an approach that Erin and I started working on this year to the ELA part of that humanities, the English language arts part. And it's something new that we just started this year that we have had a lot of success with and we've been really enjoying. Erin?
Yeah, so we call it Room to Breathe, and the title of this approach comes from this quote that we have been unable to really pin down who the author of it is. There's lots of different people who have said it, but so it's the concept that reading is like inhaling and then writing is like exhaling. And when we were kind of beginning this journey together, last year was our first year teaching together. And we kind of felt okay about our language arts instruction, but we knew that we could do a much better job. So we kind of put our heads together and started thinking about what could be and what might be possible, and ended up with Room to Breathe.
So we want to tell you a little bit about what it is and how it sort of works. It is student-centered teaching. Inhaling, the way Erin and I talk about it, is any type of text interpretation. So reading, listening, viewing, those strands where we are taking something in or inhaling. And then exhaling is any type of text creation. So for us within our curriculum, that's the strands of writing, speaking, and representing. And the way we've set this up and the way we've structured it is that a round of Room to Breathe, as we call it, is where the students complete 6 projects, and one of those projects is from each of the strands, and an inhale and an exhale are connected to form 3 cycles.
So this year we've had a chance to do a couple of cycles with our students. With the second one was a little bit shortened because of our shift to online teaching. A little bit about what that looked like when we kind of get there. So we kind of came to this idea. We were looking at reading and writing workshop, and we were really thinking about that. And we had a conversation with each other where we were talking about how some people think that teenagers don't really read and write these days, like they're not very good at it. They don't do it often enough. And so we had a conversation about that, and we kind of came to the conclusion that no, they actually do read a lot and write a lot, especially using the digital technologies that they're very familiar with. So we wanted to really take this generous approach to what a text is, and consider all of these different types of media, multimodal and multimedia ways of interpreting text and creating text.
And so it was really important to Erin and I that we position this very much within that 21st century definition of literacies, that we were really able to look at that multimodal, multi-layered approach to literacy that we all use in our daily lives and that students are using. And one of the examples that we kind of often share is around when you're watching a TV show. So Erin and I both recently watched Unorthodox on Netflix, if you've seen it. And immediately upon watching it, you know, for both of us, we were talking about how we sort of had our phones out and we're Googling some of the things that we were seeing. And then, you know, after having watched it, we're like, oh my gosh, I need to learn more about Hasidic Judaism so I can understand this better. And that's really that kind of multimodal, multi-layered literacy where we're not just reading something, we're not just watching something anymore, and we're using all of these different types of literacies. And that's one of the essential principles that we grounded this in, that literacy is multimodal and multi-layered. Erin has, it looks like she's kind of got some connection challenges. Oh, you're back, Erin. Excellent. Might be frozen, so I'm going to keep talking and let Erin come back in when it's working for her again. We use a really strong student-centered approach to this project, to this learning. Our classroom is student-centered and in general. So these projects are student-designed projects, all of them. So the students use their interests, their passions, their preferences, and they complete a planning sheet where they discuss what they're going to do with us, and we both sign off on it. And we actually, within our school community, ask for parents sign off as well, because our school community, parents really want to have a lot of voice and say in what their children are doing and how they're learning. And so this is one of the ways that we can engage them as well. And that's really connected to the second principle. Erin, are you live? Nope, still glitching. The second principle that we have, which is that giving students choice and ownership in their work leads to authentic text interpretation and creation. And that was really also important to us in the student work, because we wanted students to have an authentic audience for their work. In the very beginning of this project, one of the things that we sometimes found ourselves asking students when they were designing their projects was, who is this for? You know, a lot of students would say, oh, I'm going to make a poster. And I would say, cool, who is your poster for? Because I don't need a poster about irony in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And so that was something that the students, we really pushed them to think about this authentic audience. And that was one of the key principles for us. The program is aligned to our program of studies outcomes, which we, at the beginning of this process, took and rephrased as kid-friendly I can statements. So we took our entire program of studies learner outcomes and rewrote them. And at the beginning of this process, we gave those outcomes to the students and physically gave them to them. And we worked with them and manipulated them and moved them around and sorted and categorized and did all kinds of stuff with them so that they could start to understand them. Because it has then become their responsibility to connect their learning to their ICANN statements. So in each step of the planning process, the students are asked, what outcomes are you working on with this project? What outcomes will we be assessing? And that's what they then focus on. And we've asked them, we've given them a checklist and asked them through this process to make sure that they are checking off every single outcome. And a lot of them they're working on sort of unintentionally because they cross projects and they're continually. But what is your focus for this project is the question, which is the third principle, that all students need time to practice in order to succeed, so that each cycle within the round of this gives them time to practice again. And so when we're meeting with the students and conferencing with them and designing the next project, we always talk about, okay, so what are going to be your next steps? What do you need to work on for the next step of this, so that they're practicing the skills so that they can be successful. Erin and I work very closely together, and we are really fortunate in the school that we're in, that we're able to team teach. And so over the last, this year especially, we've worked even closer together on this project in our teaching. And so we really tag team a lot. So I'm very happy to see Erin moving in the video. You're muted, Erin. I'm not sure if you're able to turn that on, but it's a little unnerving for me not to have Erin's voice and to be moving forward without her.
Erin, you do look like you're not frozen, so I think we see you okay, and I think it's just that you're muted. I do have a question though. This is actually my question. So I have been looking at a couple products that help teachers and students organize project-based learning, or like Genius Hour, Passion Project kind of materials. Something outside of like Google Classroom or Teams or something like that to help organize these type of projects. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you guys use that's specific to this kind of work.
Yeah, so the way we organized this prior to going online was really sort of paper and pencil. But what has been really exciting for us, and that's kind of the piece that we wanted to focus on once we were able to give you that overview of what it is how seamlessly this project has transitioned to online, and can really work in any kind of online setting, any kind of online program, management software, anything that you know and are already using. This just transitions seamlessly in. So we use Google Classroom. We're a very large school board, and so we are sort of restricted or mandated in terms of what kinds of software we can use with students. And so Google Classroom is what we were asked to use. And that's how we have been using that. And the students have completed their planning sheets online. And then we use Calendar to schedule the conferences, and it's worked really well with the video conferencing as well, because we were already doing these one-to-one conferences at each step, and we just moved to video conferencing for it. And that has been also something in this situation that's been really great, because it's enabled us to still have those connections with our students, and still have that relationship at the heart of what we're doing. And so that's been really great. Erin, we have you unfrozen. There we go. Hi. Oh, so I'm going to keep going because Erin keeps glitching out. Did that answer your question, Melanie? I hope.
Yes, it did. And I'm going to look through, and I know that I understand using the products that you are required to use. And I don't disagree with that at all, but I'm just interested in knowing there's actually a company that's in your area that has this product, and it's newer for organizing specifically these kinds of projects. So let me
Oh,
see if
neat. We'd love to hear about it.
yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it and share it out.
I would love to hear about it, because that's something I think this this could transition really seamlessly. And when we go back to school for us in September, that's something that Erin and I have already started talking about is how can we help the kids with the time management aspect of this, the project management aspect of this in this online setting. So I would really love to hear if there's something available. This fourth principle that I want to talk about is one of kind of the essential ones for Erin and I, because this is so individual and so personalized. And you know, when I'm talking about conferencing with every student, every step, when Erin and I talk about that, a lot of teachers are sort of like, that just sounds unmanageable. And one of the key things that we started this process with was that assessment is teaching. And we wanted our students to use feedback. We didn't want that classic, you know, where you spend half an hour grading an essay and you have all these great comments and you give it back to them and they never even look at it. And certainly they're not using that feedback to improve their next project. And so we wanted to really look at how we could make that more meaningful. And then the other piece that built on that was, if we agree that assessment is teaching, then it can't happen at home by myself on the couch at 9 o'clock at night without the students. I can't teach by myself in front of the TV at 9 o'clock. I need to be in the classroom with the students when I'm doing it. And so the shift that has happened is that all of our assessment happens in those conferences. Erin and I are not taking work home anymore to assess outside of school hours. And so that's been really a huge shift in this. So it's intense and it's busy and it's involved when we are in the classroom with the students, as all teaching is. But that's where the work is happening with the students. From the conferencing, we determined these mini lessons, and this is another piece that shifted really well into this online environment. They're short little lessons based on what the students need and what they're working on, and they're focused sometimes individual to that specific student and their next steps, and sometimes smaller groups. If we notice we have a lot of students that are interested in the same thing or working on the same thing, we'll pull them in. And that's worked incredibly well in this online learning. And we've been able to, in this environment, record those mini lessons for the students. And then that's building a library for them that they can go back to and revisit as well. And it's actually lessened our workload because it's enabled us to use some of those videos again. So to say to students, oh, now, you know, I recorded this 3 weeks ago, but it's where you are at right now, so you can use this right now. Which takes to principle 5, every kid gets what they need. We meet them where they are to take them to the next steps. This is another aspect where we have brought in our technology piece. We use mentor text for the students. Which they've become a major teaching tool, as well as connecting to that authenticity and that authentic audience for them, so that they can really see where writing is happening in the real world, not just academic essays and not just writing for a teacher. Alison Marchetti and Rebecca Odell have an amazing book called Beyond Literary Analysis that we used, we read and really inspired us a lot in our work. And their website, movingwriters.org, within that, they've created a Dropbox project where they have brought mentor texts together, and I really strongly encourage you to check it out. They have collected them by subject, by type, and it's an amazing resource. And then all of our students publish their work. So at each step of their exhale, their work is published on a blog, a class blog that we have, I guess, a grade blog. And you can also check that out and see the work that our students are doing. And that's another place where we push the work online.
Hi.
Yes, yay, Erin.
Hi. So sorry. Something happened to my internet. It's not working. So I'm hotspotting from my phone now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we problem solved.
Right in at the end.
Yes.
Hooray.
Run. I was saying how unnerving it is for me to be talking all by myself through this.
I know.
Okay, so jump in. Principle 6, Erin.
Yeah, so we are really have seen the benefit of students thinking about audience in how they're creating and who are they writing for. In the beginning, this was really hard for them because they would come to us and say, okay, well, I'm going to do a poster.
I just say that word, Erin.
All right. Why? So yeah, being able to think about who they're creating for and having an audience outside of our own classroom that's not just me as their teacher, for who they're creating for has been really transformative in their creation.
So before I press play on this, that's the big overview of what we're doing. I've talked a little bit, Erin, as I was working through around how this transition to online, but I definitely think that we need to talk a little bit more about that. This is a video that it's a short little video that we have to share with you guys, just with some student voice, the students talking about how they feel about this project and why it works for them. But before I share that, maybe we can talk just a little bit more about how it went online.
Yes, I don't know what you shared already.
I just talked about the seamless transition, but do you want to talk a bit more, Erin, about how we've used Google Classroom around this and that piece with the assignments and sharing that?
Yeah, so we have transitioned into our online setting. We had to reduce the amount of work that they were doing because in our transition to online learning, our government has set sort of hours that students are expected to complete, and it was about half of what they did in school. So most of them completed a one project, so like an inhale and an exhale. In this online setting, and we used Google Classroom for them to submit their work to us. And sorry, my cat is trying to get in on the screen. And then we just continued with our interviews, our conferences with the students using Google Meet, and it worked really well. We used our calendar in Google Classroom to have them sign up for an appointment slot, and they signed up for a conference when they were ready to move on to their next step. And I could definitely see this, like if we were in a situation where we had to do like strictly online learning, this would absolutely work. Absolutely.
Before we share this video, I just want to, I know we went through things kind of really quickly. I'm wondering if there's more questions that we can answer about this program or how it works with technology, or ideas or suggestions. As if you've been listening and you're thinking, oh, I use this, it would work really great. We would love to hear that. Just give you a second before I click on the video. Okay, I'm gonna click play on my end and hope for the best. Sorry, I don't think you guys have sound. Erin?
No.
Okay, I will, I'm just gonna.
I think you have to mute yourself.
I need to unmute myself on this one. Sorry, guys. mute on this one. You're seeing a lot of screens flying by. I'm sorry.
I don't think you're muted on your video one. There you go. Okay, should be.
My favorite part about Room to Breathe is how you can become so enthusiastic about what you're doing because you get to choose what topic you want to research.
I like Room to Breathe because it gives me an opportunity to do something that I like during school time.
What I like about Room to Breathe is you're free to express yourself. So if you like sports or something, you can make whatever you want out of that project. So if I wanted to read a sports book and then write something about it, I could do whatever I want and like express who I am. And if you like talk about something you like more, or you do something you like more, you're gonna do it better and have more fun with it.
I like Room to Breathe because I love sharing my ideas with my friends and I like hearing their ideas back. I really like Room to Breathe because I get to collaborate with my peers.
I really like Room to Breathe because I feel like I can excel in the things that I like to do, and I don't feel like information's being like shoved down my throat. I feel like I've like freedom to do what I want to, and I feel like I can excel at that.
I like that there was a lot of freedom in, and like you could do anything you really wanted as long as it was involved with humanities.
What I like about Room to Breathe is that it gives us some independence of what we can do, and it's like we can be creative with what our like interests are. So it's like incorporating learning within the things that we like to do, so it makes it like more interesting for us, which I think is a better way to learn.
I like that you can take your own interests and make your own project, and this way you can like push your limits and grow as a learner.
But I only have 2 hands.
It's been interesting because our final project that we're working on with our students right now is having them create a personal manifesto of what it means to live a good and meaningful and purposeful life. Kind of call this the ultimate exhale. And we have been meeting with our students one-on-one for exit interviews this week and next week. And many students have been really talking about how kind of the beginning of Room to Breathe, it was a bit of an adjustment for them because they weren't used to making the decisions about what they wanted to do and what they wanted to create. So for many of them, it was a little bit of a learning curve for them to really embrace that. But we've heard many comments from lots of students when we're talking about their growth this year about how they really feel like they know themselves now, and they know what they like to do, what they're strong at, where they've seen growth. And I think putting that student agency back on the students and allowing them to make those decisions about their own learning has been really positive.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing about this for me has been that aspect, really getting to see a classroom full of diverse students really buy into and invest themselves in the work and grow and develop their own voice.
So we have some resources to share with you. We've got a short link here. We are, I don't know if Tara mentioned this, but totally open source teachers, and we love for people to use what we create and make it their own and hack it and take it apart and put it back together. So we're happy to share all the resources that we've developed for this approach. We've used all year long. So you can use that. Yeah, for sure. We can post the short link there. And we would love to answer any of your questions at this point. if anyone wants to turn on their microphone, I think you can do that if you want to, or you can type it in chat.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what Erin said, everything that we created for this is available in that link. So please feel free to take what you think might work, or and change it, modify it, use it however you want. And we would love to hear how you are using it. Erin's Twitter handle is @LuckyByDesign. And she's one of the moderators of a weekly design thinking Twitter chat that is a really incredible place for educators from all over to gather and share thoughts around design thinking. And we would love to hear what you are, if you use this, how and what you do with it and how it works or doesn't work, and things that have been changed. We're always looking to grow and improve ourselves. And my Twitter handle is not nearly as active, but it's @Best Circus, because we have the best circus in town in my house. My house is a bit of a circus. I'm the ringmaster. We've got the best circus in town. So that's where my Twitter handle comes from, Andy.
So, where do I begin? So Erin and I are in the same Facebook group for educators, and that was where I first heard about her and her work, and she shared some things there, and I went and snooped on her page and looked up what they were doing, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I want to hear more about it. Also somewhat familiar. So for those of you who know me, I do a lot of work with Genius Hour Passion Projects. We've got the CSETI, the Consortium for Student Empowerment Through Innovation, very similar to what you all are doing, except that I work with teachers who work with students. So when I say I need about 15 hours with you both, I really do. I really, really could talk about this with you forever. I'm so excited. And I would love to chat more and just connect through and, share what we've done and talk more about what you've done, and maybe even how to make some more connections, possibly with our students sharing products with each other and projects and talking to each other. That way we're always looking for global connections. So I know that they would love that.
That would be amazing. We would love that. That's so connects so strongly to what we're talking about having an authentic audience. And so to be able to share with peers around the world and to connect with other writers and creators would be amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know what organizations you have, what kind of parent-teacher organizations you have. We have PTA here, and or some have PTO. But they only want to see so many projects from students. They, there's only so many presentations throughout the year. So it is always nice to have other audience members for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and if you guys want to check out the student blog, that would be cool too. If you want to see some of the things that they've done this year. Yeah. So it's Room to Breathe at .edublogs.org. Tara, did you talk at all about some of the examples of things?
No, I didn't really. No, I didn't talk really at all about our amazing students and their incredible work.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
It wasn't student-centered at all of me.
So it's been really cool seeing like students' interests really driving their work and the choices that they're making, and that initial conference that we have with the students before they begin really gives us a chance to help push their thinking a little bit in what they're wanting to do. So one of the students that you saw in the video that we showed, her name is Olivia, and she's kind of she has very distinct interests. She loves sports. She loves the Kansas City Chiefs. That's her favorite team. And she's done some pretty neat things this year with Room to Breathe around sports. She did an analysis of different, she wanted to create this video of who's the best player of the number of the jersey. I don't know if that makes sense. So like, who's the best number 11 in the whole NFL? And she did she set some criteria of things that she was looking for in each of the players. She watched a bunch of clips of different players who were, and analyzed the plays that they were doing, and then came up with her top player of each jersey number. Another kind of cool thing she did was, she is a fan of the show How I Met Your Mother, but she did not like the way that it ended. So she rewatched a few episodes at the end of the series and then rewrote her own script of the last episode in the way that she thought it should end, and taught herself script writing. It's like perfectly formatted. Pretty amazing.
And then we've had some really interesting work too with the students on the continuum of this. So in the first round, one of the students you saw, Anna, she is a huge fan of dystopian fiction. And so she reread some of the dystopian texts that she had already read. And she wanted to do a reread because she wanted to look specifically at character development. So she, within the time constraints, when we talked, she came and said, I'm going to reread these 3 novels. And we thought that might be a bit much. So I was able to also move her into some short story reading as well. And so we brought in some new writing around that. And so she reread a novel, and then looked at a couple of dystopian short stories, and then wrote her own dystopian short story. And she did that in her first round. And then in her second round, she got really excited about not just podcasts, but specifically serialized fictional podcasts. So the modern version of radio dramas. And The Unexplained Life of Mars Patel. And so she listened to that and then decided to take her short story that she had written in the first round and turn it into a podcast. And that same idea of that serialized short story. So really exciting to see the kids remixing their own work as well.
Yes, we're very proud of him.
We love that. We love to hear about student work around here for sure. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything that they want to add into the chat, or I can unmute you if you'd like.
I have a quick question for both of you. Since we're, how is your school preparing for next year? Maybe it'll give us some perspective. Us at the States in Western New York, we're still kind of in limbo as to how schools are going to roll out. What are the conversations going on where you are?
So here in Alberta, we have been incredibly fortunate with the impact that we have had here. We haven't had the worst case scenario come to prevail here. And so we have started reopening here. Our government has done a phased reopening. So we are in phase 2 of that reopening, where social distancing requirements are still being enforced, but businesses are reopening. And we have been asked to prepare for 3 specific scenarios that our government has given us. One is that all of the learning will happen online. One scenario is it will be a return to normal with health and safety, enhanced health and safety protocols. And then the third scenario is that there will be some combination of that, cohort groups of students, smaller class sizes, things like that. And so we've been asked to plan for all 3 of those scenarios, and we've been told that by August 1st, we will know which scenario is rolling out in September. So we have quite a bit of limbo here as well, Andy.
Thank
Yep.
you. Sounds similar.
Ditto. I'm wondering about the other teachers, your colleagues, your coworkers. How do they feel about everything that you're doing here? Do you find them to be supportive, or do you have any challenges?
It's kind of, we've been sharing this presentation with a few different audiences, and we finally had a chance at a professional development day last month to share this with our own colleagues at our own school. So people have been, you know, interested in hearing about what we're doing, but this was our first chance to really formally kind of share it with them. And we got a really nice response, I think, from our colleagues. Many of them were really excited by this. It's I think when we talk about this with other colleagues, we really emphasize the fact that our students are practicing critical analytical thinking as they're completing their projects, and that skill is transferable into any setting. So that's one of the things that we really emphasize, and makes a lot of sense to people, I think. Tara, would you add anything?
Yeah, I think one of the other aspects that when we have been talking about this with our colleagues has been what I sort of mentioned in the presentation, that a lot of teachers kind of look and go, yeah, that sounds really great, but it also sounds really unmanageable. And so something that Erin and I also really focus on is how this has been transformative to our practice, in the sense that it's really brought the assessment into the classroom to the students in an actionable way, and been able to make how we manage this, I guess, has been also something that we really focus
on. So I have another question and another comment. I wasn't lying when I said I need 15 more hours. So one of the things that we have found successful, because some of our programs take students out of their regularly scheduled classes just because of special circumstances, different things that they're involved in. They might go on a field trip. And so there can be some discontent from other teachers who are saying, you know, why are the students out of my class? Why are they not attending? Or, you know, what's this special thing that you're doing? And we have found that it really helps when the students present or speak to the other teachers about what they're doing. And even the teachers that they've had in past years, those teachers love to see, like, oh, my 8th graders, you know, you were in my class for 1st grade, and here you are as an 8th grader, and look at all the great things that you're doing. And they really enjoyed hearing from the kids. And it also gives the kids another opportunity to do some public speaking as well.
Yeah, Melanie, I think that's also something that we've seen. We were actually just talking to our science and math team this morning, that we've seen as well. The conferencing that we do with the students through this process at each step of the way has really translated across curricular areas for our students, so that they now, when they're talking about their math work or their science work, have a voice and a language that they're able to talk about their work with and their work as learners. And it's really built their reflective capacity as well.
Yes. How has this changed you as teachers?
Oh, I don't think we'll ever go back.
Never.
No.
Mm-hmm.
This has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but haven't been able to kind of figure it out. And so I think what this has pushed me towards is a practical way to live my teaching philosophy around the Like, what is instruction? What is teaching? What is assessment? What do students need to drive their own learning forward? It's brought that all together for me.
And I think one of the things that Erin and I kind of always make sure we mention is that we've known each other for 2 years. We've been working together for 2 years. Erin was already on staff, and then I got hired in to join her, and we started this sort of journey together, and have really just brought our individual personalities and our individual philosophies to a place where, you know, underneath all of it is just this desire to be better. And that's just been, I think, the most incredible part about it is every step of the way. And that's, you know, even why we say to everybody here, please share with us, because we want to be better. And the only way we get better is collaborating and in the company of our peers and sharing our work.
It is truly a joy to get better at something. And this lets us do that.
I love that. I love that. All right, if there are not any other questions or comments, I think that we are good to take a break until 2 o'clock. Erin and Tara, thank you so much for your time. I know that you need to rush off and eat some lunch and go teach. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and sharing all of your information and your resources. And you better believe you'll be hearing from me. I mean, you had me at Creativity Collective, and if you ever see my website, you'll know why. So hopefully I will be able to get in touch with you again, and we can have some more discussions. And do we have your presentation, or will we have it to post?
Yes.
Okay.
It's linked already.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
I can share the short link with you as well. If
Awesome.
I'll just copy it and throw it in the chat.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we were really excited to share this.
It's so great to finally meet you and talk with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a break, everyone. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock. And thanks again, Tara and Erin. Take care.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Tara. Great job.